everybody, welcome back to another very exciting Rework It. I am your host, Jesús Ramirez, and my co-host, Kladi from Printmysoul. Hey, Kladi, how's it going?
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Very good. Thank you, Sus. How's it going?
It's a beautiful afternoon here in San Ramon, California. A little cold, actually. Not as beautiful as usual. You're in Manchester, correct?
Manchester is freezing. The actual cold winter wind kicked in, so it's 11 in night, so it's pretty cold.
Yeah. So Kladi is in Manchester, UK. I'm in California. Let us know where you're watching from. I can see Sam in the chat. Hey, Sam, how's it going? Thanks for helping out. Yeah, let us know where you're watching from. Curious to see where everybody is today. Is it morning? Is it daytime? Evening? Let us know.
I love how Mercury is saying good afternoon. Exactly. That's exactly what we wonder. We don't know what to say. We're actually going to be able to do our December Rework It in the same place. Is that correct?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we'll actually get to do a Rework It together next month. So
in the same studio.
We won't be virtual.
We can see Steve in the chat. Ciao, Steve. I'm Mercurial. I Richard. We also have Zed by HP Tech Marketing saying rework it, baby. Yeah, you're right. We're
Nice.
gonna rework it really soon. Also,
Nice.
sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say Sam is in LA, watching from LA.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Super jelly here.
Yeah, you're just a short 6-hour drive away from me, Sam.
Fantastic. I can also see Laura Staneva, Mallory. I was just about to say, what's up, RB? Sorry, sis, we got our little crew from previous streams. So as much as you got your banana crew, I got my what's up crew.
What's your crew?
What's up?
Your what's up crew? Nice.
With Alberto, who's missing today.
I just placed the banana in the chat, just to let everybody know what we're.
Also, check who's in the chat. Ari is in the chat. Do you remember Ari? She say, "Hey friends, I believe I don't know if I'm mistaken the last name, but I believe that Ari is the same lovely, amazing person that I'm doing my first stream with. So I'm just gonna double check that he's the same person, but from the photo it seems to be. So anyway, lots of love.
Your first host.
My first host, yes. So I will usually jump into the Behance page of the person that we're gonna be starting with. Oh, we start with. Do you want to start? I start. You start.
I can start or you can start. Up to you. You decide.
I'm gonna start today because you start yesterday.
Okay.
So I'm
Sounds
just gonna.
good.
Jump into it. And before I jump into my screen, sorry, I wanted to also remind to everybody, it's the same one. Yes, it is. Ari. I hope you're well. Nice to see you. That's such a great memory. That was my very first stream in San Francisco with this wonderful host. And very, very nice to see you, Ari. Hope you're doing well. So let's jump into my screen. And I wanted to share with everybody the Rework It page. So if you head to iamkladi.com/reworkit, you'll be able to submit your design in order to have it featured here at Rework It. And you're going to see in a second, me and Jesus are going to jump into either Illustrator, Photoshop, or InDesign in order to give it a second look to your work. Maybe give you some inspiration or offer some advice in order to spice it up a little. And maybe just to, you get even more convinced that what you've done is the best. But it's also, I always say, 4 eyes is better than 2, and in this case it's going to be 6 eyes is better than 2. So in order to submit your design, all you have to do is to click on these big blue button here and then submit the form. It's super straightforward. So just put your email, your name, your Behance profile, and of course click on add your files in order to browse your folder and add your files there. Also, you can select which app have you used, but most importantly, if you have any specific questions or something that you really want to improve in your design, that's the perfect place to send us a note. And just click on submit and we'll get the email and we'll get in touch with you once you get selected to be featured. Jesus, I saw you giggling. Were you about to say something?
Because I could tell that you have your script memorized kind of like I do. 'Cause you said big blue button like when you do the DCCs.
Yes, in this case it's like aqua button.
Yeah, because I always do that too. I say big blue button, and sometimes it's not a blue button because I'm so used to saying it on the DCCs.
To the daily creative challenges. And speaking of the daily creative challenges, the work that I'm going to be reworking today is from Martinique Evans, and it's actually an artwork from the DCC. Is in particular
Awesome.
this Avis diner. So go ahead and have a look at Martinique Evans' work, and you can see at behance.net/mlove2020. That's such a cute and easy nickname to use. And here it is. So this is the work that we're gonna have a look at. And if you're not familiar with the Daily Creative Challenges, both me and Jesus run respectively Photoshop and Illustrator Daily Creative Challenges, which are some amazing 30 minutes challenges that are here at Adobe Live, in which you can sharpen your skills and learn new techniques in the amazing Creative Cloud apps. Before we finally jump into Illustrator, I also wanted to share a fantastic news with everyone. This is a soft launch of a course that I have created with the wonderful Adobe Illustrator team. It's called Adobe Illustrator Bootcamp, Designing for the Real World. If you go and check it out, you're going to be able to find, I believe, 9 or 10 videos, I don't remember, 10 videos, I believe, in which you can find some fantastic techniques in which you will learn how to use Illustrator in order to produce marketing materials. So if you run a small business, if you're a freelancer, those are techniques that you don't want to miss. And you can find it at the moment on edX, but I know that it's gonna be also in different locations as well. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it's time to jump into Illustrator.
Yep. And your dad's in the chat, Kladi.
Oh,
Ciao,
my
Guido.
dad is doing up. He's supposed to go to sleep. Ciao, Papa. Buonanotte. And by the way, let us know in the chat if you have any questions, if you have anything in particular that you want to know. That's a great place always to ask. I love Adobe Live for this reason. I always say that this is a safe space for us to grow together. I learn from Jesus, Jesus learns out from me, we learn from each other. Jesus, did you know that in Illustrator you can actually color the artwork background? I didn't even know that, the artboards. That's something that I
Ooh.
learned while I was doing a DCC. That's super cool. But let's
Nice.
jump into Martin.
Now, before you start, just one thing. Thanks to Sam for posting the link to your Adobe edX course. So you can click on the link. It's in the chat, and it's a live link.
Thank you so much, Sam. Super helpful as usual. Let's see if there is any other question there. Ari saying, good to see you. I know. Hopefully I'm gonna be back in the Bay soon, and we can at some point when we can finally meet each other, we hopefully can see each other again. Absolutely. Fantastic. So let's get started and revamp and give some advice in order to give a little spice to this Avis diner design. I also brought here one of the main files that I provided during the DCC, just so you had an idea of what the logo was about. And the main reason why also I brought out this page is because I already had a mood board there, and I thought instead of researching and do a mood board, we can grab a mood board directly from the file. And again, if you would like to have some ideas directly to get inspiration, the way that you can easily bring in images without leaving the app is simply to access in your libraries. So if we add to your libraries panel, and then you go back into the main libraries panel workspace, you can see that there is a little create new library, and you can create a new library that is bespoke for the project by doing so, or you can use, for example, any other library. You know, I do have a library which I use for, like, you know, miscellaneous mix stuff that I just have there for mood board, but I would strongly advise to create one specific for the project. So I'm gonna click on create new and name this one Avis, because that's the name of this diner. I'm going to click on create in order to create a new library. The library are pretty much amazing. You can add images, colors, and text. But in this case, I was talking about how to add images that you can use as a reference. All you have to do is to click on this down pointing arrow and then select Adobe Stock. So you select where to search from. And I'm going to zoom in into the workspace for you to have a little bit of a better look at the actual search bar. Here you can directly input some keywords. So for example, I'm going to put here vintage diner and then click on return. And as you can see, you have some lovely images that already come up right into Illustrator. And if you wish to add them in order to use them in your design, all you have to do is to click on this little plus icon. But in this case, we're looking at typography, we're looking at fonts. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the little filter and add some illustration or vectors. And as you can see, once we add vectors, straight away we're going to get some logos, we're going to get some nice vintage type here. And this one looks nice and colorful. You can also click and drag into your library if you want to make the library bigger. You can have a better view of the actual images. And we're still in Illustrator. We're doing so much stuff. You're pretty much doing like building mood boards within the app. So go ahead and select any that you fancy, that you think that could be useful to use as a reference. So for example, we can just create this little one with all these little icons. Seems nice. Just simply click on the plus icon, and then you can go back and just again use the same little keyword and add as many as you want. In this case, in this particular case, I'm not going to license them simply because I'm using them as a reference. If you wish to use the vector, and as you can see that they come up as an image with the Adobe stock little watermark on it. But if you do wish to use any of these vector, all you have to do is to license the file. And probably gonna use some of those. I think they're really, really cool. So if you're gonna actually use them, make sure to click on the little cart. Adobe Stock is going to come up and it's going to ask you to use your license. All you have to do is to confirm. At the moment, again, I wanted to show you the way it works. So otherwise, I would strongly recommend to license your image just at the very end when you're really sure that that's the one that you're going to use. So you can use it for your reference without licensing it. But here it is. So we got access to so many amazing vector, and all I did here is to press Command Y, which is Control Y on a Windows, in order to access the outline mode. You can switch back to the preview mode at any time by pressing Command W again. Fantastic. So let's see if there is any of those that maybe we could use for our logo to implement. I really like this hot dog one or this family restaurant. Hold Shift to select multiple items. I'm going to select this one as well, and then press Command C and head back to your file, and we can delete this one, and then we can press Command V to place them, and we'll see if we can actually implement any of those elements into the logo. And again, I'm not going to look into copy and use the same stuff, but maybe just, maybe use the background, maybe one shape, just create a remix, a rework of the actual Avis Diner logo. Something else that really got my attention before we jump into the logo is to those little coffee line. So I can really see that here you were trying to mimic the smoke, and you were looking for a stroke that had a variable width. Well, there is a fantastic tool in Adobe Illustrator that allows you to create strokes with variable width, and that's the width tool. So I'm going to go ahead and select the pencil tool to start, which is here nested under the sharper tool into my toolbar, and I'm going to go ahead and start to draw in order to draw a smoke line, which is at the moment just a simple stroke. Then I'm going to go ahead and navigate to my properties panel, and here under the appearance options where it says stroke, I will start by clicking on the top arrow by adding a weight to my stroke. Now, as you can see, it's very clear that Illustrator has already placed a number of anchor points, which are these little blue dots that define the path. And you can edit those at any time. In order to access them, all you have to do is to click on the direct selection tool. And with the direct selection tool, you can access each single one of them and you can move them around, or you can click and drag in order to select more than one anchor point at the same time. It looks like I'm actually moving the shape. So something that you would like to do here is if something gets selected and gets in the way, keep it selected and then head to your layers, and you will see that it's highlighted in the layer. So what you can do is to click next to the layer and a little lock will appear. And by doing so, now we can go ahead and select our line without our stroke, without interfering with the rest of the graphic that we already selected. And by the way, just I don't know if you noticed it, but what was selected before, and I'm just gonna do it again and zoom in because it was not very visible, is this little blue dot here. And it's blue because the color of the layer is blue, but that indicates the selected art. So I know exactly which one I'm gonna go ahead and lock real quick in order to be able to play with my stroke without disturbing the rest of the artwork. So I'm gonna go ahead and, as I mentioned, head to the width tool over here. And by clicking on the width tool or using the shortcut Shift W on your keyboard, we can access this wonderful tool that allows us to create a variable width anywhere we want in multiple parts inside our stroke. I'm going to zoom in so you can see. Once you hover with your selection, with your width tool on a path, there is a little diamonds that comes up. Here it is. So these little diamonds that goes over the path is just a little preview that lets you know, like, this is the exact point where we're going to add the width point. And look what happens when you click on the width point. You have two handles that come at the sides of your stroke, and then you can use them in order to make your stroke larger if you just drag outwards, or smaller if you drag inwards. And you can create many of those, so you can have a little bit of thickness at the top and then make it thinner again in the middle part, and then a little bit thicker again. So you can literally create this modulation on your width. You can also do something very cool, which is you can move those little width point wherever you want. So you can actually be able to move them and also edit them at any time. So you can make it, you can shrink them and enlarge them again. Something super cool is that if you hold the Option key and select one of the handle, you will be able to change the width of just one side. So you don't have to, in this case, when you're with the width tool selected, you won't be affecting both sides symmetrically, but it will be an asymmetrical width. So as you can see, it's just one of the side, and that creates even more nice movement inside your little stroke.
Super cool. The chat's a little quieter. You must be doing such an excellent job that people are just in awe with what you're doing.
Fantastic. I'm happy. But let us know what you think. Let us know if there is anything in particular that you want to know. We're always super happy to take your advice here. So that will be perhaps one of the first thing that I will do, is just to create different width for your stroke. And again, you can press the letter N on your keyboard and go ahead and select a different shape. And look what happened. All I did is press, I think I went too fast there. So I'm gonna press the letter N, or again, select your pencil tool and then click and drag in order to create a freehand stroke, and then press on the letter I on your keyboard in order to select the eyedropper tool, which you can also find on the toolbar. And then if you click once on the stroke that you created, boom, it creates a replica. So you actually can replicate the style of the width in just few clicks. That's super cool. Another thing that I would suggest is to make sure that when you're done with those little strokes, you can transform them into a shape. So I'm just going to create another one by holding Shift. Here it is. And of course, in this case, again, I want to show you some more stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the same 3 times. I would advise to spend a little bit more time and create different lines, just so you create a little bit more of a realistic effect, rather than having something that is, just repeating. So I think Kladi has some asters in a box nearby. What's going on?
It's I guess there's something that they're hearing when you click.
Is that my mouse? I don't know. I don't know. So I'm just gonna go ahead and select by pressing Shift and clicking on the shape in order to select them all. And then I'm gonna go ahead into my object menu, path, and select outline stroke in order to transform the stroke in a shape. So if you now press Command Y to go back into your outline mode, you can see that the stroke is gone and we got a full path that makes up a shape. Now, just a very quick reminder here. If sometimes you struggle to do that, is because your oh, it could be the music. Say RB said Claudia, somebody playing drums behind.
No.
It's a mouse, not a hamster. I don't know. I'm gonna change tunes just in case. Is the music here?
Is the music? I can't hear the music that you're playing. That's probably why you didn't.
I don't know. Now I changed music, and now in the little cover there is a cat. So if it was a mouse, at least now we got a cat. But anyway. Oh, maybe it's my mouse. I don't know. I'm gonna keep going here. Let me know. Hopefully we can get rid of that little. Oh, it's also me moving. I'm dancing a lot while I work. But anyway, what I was gonna say is that I'm gonna use again real quick the pencil tool in order to create a shape, and I'm gonna give it a width. And what I want to show you is that if you do have actually a fill inside your stroke, which is pretty much what I think that happened there with the stroke. And then you go to object, path, and outline stroke. You will struggle to outline the stroke because you will create a shape, here it is, but you will still retain a stroke in order to support the fill there because it's an open path. So just remember, whenever you wish to outline a stroke, always go ahead and make sure that double click on the fill and set it to none, simply by clicking on the fill icon and then pressing the backslash in order to change it into the none, which is the little square with a red line on the top. So that will be my very first change into the rework kit. I can now go ahead and unlock the artwork that Martin has created. And I'm here to give you another fantastic tip, which is the group selection tool. So group selection tool is located under the direct selection tool. And you can see, you can find it here. It's like a white arrow, but with a plus next to it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the group selection tool. And then you can click. The beauty of using the group selection tool is that you can just simply click in any group and select each single element without changing the status of the group. So you don't have to ungroup in order to select it. Just simply click once and you'll be able to select it. Now I'm going to press back my letter V in order to show you that that's a full group. So look, when I click once, it selects everything. But if I now go and select the letter A, which is our direct selection tool, and then press option, you'll be able to access directly the group selection tool. Here it is. And this will allow you to just select one item at a time. Here it is. And then maybe we can select this one and bring it to the top. What's going on?
I think that your microphone might be just too close to the table because you can hear all the thumping.
Oh, let's see if I can move it there. Maybe that helps.
We'll see.
We'll see. I'll move my microphone. Hopefully that helps. Or maybe it's also the cable. I don't know. Let us know in the chat if we actually managed to fix these issues or not. So what I did, I'm just gonna place our little cap on in front of this new little smoke that we created. And again, I love that Martinique has used a little like gray icon, but as you can see, we already stylized much better our little logo here with the cap. And because of the thickness of the line that goes on into this diner typeface, which I believe is, let me go ahead and double check which font is it using here. It's called Look Script. It looks nice and thick. I will also try to keep consistency with my stroke. So for my cup, I will probably bump up the stroke also. And because everything is so nice and rounded, and that's like a little eye of detail for, again, keeping the style vintagey, because that was the aim of the game when we were creating this logo. Make sure that you click on the word stroke under properties and appearance, and then change the cap and the corner to round, so you can see that you can achieve a much smoother and curvier feel to it. And I will probably do the same for this shape. Again, press the letter A to access the selection tool, then press option and click on one of the shapes that belong to the group. And let's give like a little bit of a thickness to this stroke. So look at the different, I should have probably saved that before and after, but you can see that in just few clicks, we made the logo bolder, we make the sign bolder. And here it is. And again, we could also leverage any of those shapes that we have licensed from the Adobe stock file. So for example, we can select this little hexagon here and then copy it and maybe use it to as a background under Avis, just like so, because that's again like a little of a signature of a vintagey style, just like that. And again, awesome. This is just one of the possible shape. Jesus, I know you're eager to start. I'm gonna pass it to you. Oh, Mallory said yes. Moving the microphone really helped. Oh, I'm so sorry. Mallory said that she's been moving the streams this week because of that
muting.
Sound.
Yeah.
Oh, so thank you so much for letting me know. Hopefully we solved it. Right, so one thing that I wanted to talk about before we pass on to Photoshop and Jesus is the font. So in this case, first of all, we have a lot of fonts going on, and there are many bold different fonts. I can see that you got some repetition here with the look script from the main banner, which is great. Although here in the menu, it looks like there is a lot going on in terms of stylizing these fonts. We want to make sure that we keep something nice and readable for the eye, but most importantly, I would suggest to find something that is in contrast with what you are creating. So you can see that here the description is exactly as the same as the main title of the food. If you can go ahead and see, I want to just double check to see if you create a paragraph style, but it looks like there was no paragraph style. I'm just gonna go ahead under window, type, and then paragraph style to see if there is any. Ooh, there is a paragraph style there. I'm glad that I checked. So there is a paragraph style for the description. Fantastic. All I have to do, well done, Martinique. All I have to do is to double click on description, making sure that my text is not selected. Otherwise, you see what happened. And once you double click on description and go under basic character format, I would change the font to something a little bit more rounded and opposite. So we can see that those fonts are like tall and thin, and I'm gonna try to find something that is like round and smaller. So maybe something like Dean would help. Let's see if that we have a little preview. So as you can see, there is a bigger contrast here, and we can also turn down the size perhaps to maybe 14, or let's keep it to 16 just for accessibility purposes. Usually 16 is the best size here. And then we can also add some indents and spacing, and we can add some space before, so we get a little bit of distance from the top, and then just click on OK. And it looks like that for some reason this one skipped, so we can go back and make sure that is on the right description. So of course it looks like that we will need to then resize our document and play with the size and the entire spacing. But overall, we in just few clicks, thanks to the paragraph styles and those amazing fonts, we created some movement in the font, we refined the logo, made it bolder, and I think that's it for my rework it for today. Jesus.
There's a question from Mallory. Did the original designer create the styles?
Yes, it did, Mallory. So as you see, all I did was going under the window menu and then type and then styles in order to see if there were any styles, and they're there. So that was very, very useful. Martinique did that, and that allowed me simply to double click on the style in order to change whatever I was looking to change. And it not only Martinique created the style, but also named it, quite well. So I knew right away that description was going to be the food description, and the header 2 is this one over here, and the main header is this one at the top. So I think that Martinique has done a pretty good job. There is no paragraph styles, looks like, but probably I would use a character styles maybe for the font, for the price or anything that I want to highlight, but the styles were already there. So again, I will probably drop the third fonts on the top. That would be like perhaps my biggest advice, just not to use more than 2 fonts. I think is nice and clean. And just remember, the content and readability is always at the very, very top or at the list when we create a design. We want to make sure that is nice and clear before then starting to match other stylistic options. So, but so far I didn't want to took too much. I just think that the one that needed to be addressed was the description, and we've done so quickly and easily by editing the description. Mallory, yes, very good practice from Martinique's size. Fantastic. So again, that was my main rework it on the logo with the smoke and making the line bolder in order to create a overall more vintagey look and feel. So
Nice.
Jesus, are we ready to jump into your screen?
Yeah, let's jump into my screen. Also, shout outs to Flynn again. He's early morning for him. He's saying this menu is making him hungry. Our good friend Flynn from Adobe APAC.
Hi Flynn, nice to see you.
So I have the Kladi rework it page. This is the page where you submit your work. And actually, Kladi, you know what? We should have stayed on your screen since we're gonna.
Yeah, I just jumped back. I remember that we want to show the artist page, which is Madison tabs. Now Madison doesn't have any work uploaded yet, Madison, we urge you to upload some work so we can show off your artwork. But Madison Tabs, that's her Behance. I didn't have any further information, so hopefully we'll be able to share some of her work also during next stream. I already sent her an email, and we noted that maybe for next stream. But Jesus, I'm going to jump right into your screen so we can actually see her map. I believe that she submitted a map.
Yeah, Madison submitted this map, and the reason that I chose it for rework it was because we've been getting a lot of composites, and this is, you know, completely different than a composite, and I saw a lot of opportunity to teach people some techniques that I hope they can find useful and use them in their projects.
So sorry.
So, yeah,
I'm gonna stop you a second because there is a question from Aries, and
sure.
I just wanna like address it real quick before you get started, because
Yeah,
probably I've been super fast on closing. So sorry, I'm gonna borrow another minute from you.
no problem.
So Ari, I wanted to explain to you real quick what styles are, and in particular, when I refer to style, I refer to paragraph styles. Paragraph styles are very useful tools that you can find across InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop. And maybe, Jesus, you can show us what they are also in Photoshop a little bit more in depth. I'm just gonna show it real quick. Oops, and I'm not on my screen. So with the paragraph styles, you can create and save different formatting for your font. So for example, I'm gonna go ahead here and use the type tool and select just the word test, because that's going to be just a test. And then from the character style, I'm going to select a font called Integral CF, which is a font that I'm using quite a lot. And I'm going to give it a size of 38, and perhaps make it aligned to the center, and also give it a color just so it stands out. I'm just going to make it red just for the purposes of the test. Now, when I create this styling, all I have to do is to go ahead and select the paragraph styles panel and click on the little plus in order to create a new style based on the formatting that of the text that I have highlighted. And here it is, a new paragraph style will pop up here. So you can double click in order to name it, and I'm going to name it test. And then you can apply it anywhere you want in your document. So it just saves and retains the settings. So as you can see, I can go here to this text, and in just one click, I can change completely the styling just by applying the paragraph style to any text that I select in the document. So Ari, I hope that was enough an explanation. The paragraph style allow you to work so much faster, because as you've done before, once you double click, now I can see that this font is super big. So once I go ahead and make it smaller in order to fit the menu, here it is. I just done so, and it changed it all across my document just by changing the paragraph style. So
Super
that
cool.
was for the styles. Jesus, thank you so much for allowing me this extra minute, and I'm back into your screen now.
Yeah, no problem. So this is the map that Mallory, was it the artist?
Madison.
Madison submitted, and like I said, this project offers the opportunity for us to show a couple different things that I think you guys may find useful, and hopefully it helps Mallory on her project. So unlike yesterday's artist, Mallory just kept everything on basically one giant group. There's a couple of groups in between there, but I would definitely advise Mallory to group things together, just because it's a lot easier to work with things when they're grouped together. And also, if you find the document that she, not the document, the layer where she generated the back of the map, this back part, and actually everything in here, not just the back of the map, everything is just pixels. It looks like Mallory just painted over with probably the brush tool, maybe even use the lasso tool to freehand a selection and fill it. I'm not really sure, but in either case, it's just a pixel layer. So what I would recommend for Mallory to do is to instead use a vector. So for example, I'm going to select that same color, and I'm quickly going to create something similar. I'm not going to spend too much time, because I want to, I don't want to spend too much time on just this one thing, but I would recommend using the curvature pen tool, and quickly, I'm just going to create something similar. It's not going to be perfect, but quickly create the shape of that map like so, and I'll close it on the other end. And the reason that this works better is because the edges, you have way more control over the edges. You can have really smooth edges like I have here. You can go into the properties panel and you can also feather the edges. So if you needed blurry edges, you can have that as well. It's non-destructive. And you can also adjust the map. If you notice a mistake, it's really easy to correct with the curvature pen tool. You can just click on a point and drag it and move it somewhere else. You can double click on a point to make it a sharp corner. You can hover over the path and click and drag to add another point to that path so that you can adjust it accordingly. And it just makes it much easier to edit. And you can always double click on the thumbnail and change the color to something else. And I just think that becomes a lot more um, easier to edit, and it looks better, and it also helps you keep the file sizes smaller. It's just the bigger, a bigger. It's just much more advantageous for you to use a vector shape in a project like this rather than use pixels. All around, I think it works better. Also, something that aesthetically, I know you were going for like a flat look design, and that's totally cool. Nothing wrong with that. But if you wanted to, you could also take advantage of your layer styles and apply a pattern. For example, there's this grass folder. You can select the grass, make sure that you change the blending mode from normal to luminosity, decrease the opacity, and you can adjust the scale. And then you can now have a shape that has texture to it, as you see there. So you don't have to have a flat design if you don't want to. And if you want a flat design, no problem. I just wanted to show you that you have that capability of applying just this nice texture over the entire map if you wanted to use that. Also for the roads, that seems like you just took the brush tool and just, painted over across the canvas. And something that you can do instead is take advantage of the, once again, the curvature pen tool. And for your fill, I'm going to use a brown color now, something similar to what you had there. And you can start painting that in. And actually, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done the fill. I should have done the stroke. So I can come back in here, remove the stroke, and add the fill, make it that orange. And I can adjust the width of that.
And just to correct you real quick, so you remove the fill and add the stroke?
Oh, did I say it backwards or the other way around? Yeah. So yeah, remove the fill and add the stroke. And thank you for that.
No worries.
And if you wanted to, you can also have like a dotted line or dashed line or something like that. So you have that capability with using vectors as opposed to just painting over it with the brush tool. I'm going to drag this all the way up because I don't know where that actual line is. Let me see. I just want to erase the one.
There is nothing like Illustrator that shows you by clicking on the...
Yeah, I'm going to right click on it. See how see when you right click on something, it says shape 1 or shape 2. Like, I don't know if this is shape 1 or 2. Okay, so it's shape 2. This is why you should name your layers, everybody. Name your layers. So now did I bring it back up? What happened here? Oh, wait. Let me try that again. Oh, wait, was it shape 1? Nope, not shape 1. Is it shape 26? Yeah, it was shape 26. See, like, it's so difficult if you don't name your layers. So now this one, oh yeah, so mine is shape 2. So I'll call this one new road so that we can tell it apart. And just so that I can see it in the panel, I'm going to make it red so it's easier for me to see. But now, not only is this line smoother, but it also gives you a lot more control because you can always change the width if you want to make it thicker, thinner, totally up to you. And you can change the color, of course, much easier than what she had previously. And also you could take advantage of the, actually, I don't want that line to show in the middle. So I'm just going to select the move tool, double click here on the side of the layer to bring up the layer style. And you can take advantage of the layer styles. You can add a drop shadow to that. So now this has a drop shadow. You can, select the color similar to the background, just make it darker so that it fits the composite, and you can just adjust it any way that you want. You can click and drag it also if you need to. I know in this case it's probably not necessary, but if you wanted to, you can make, you can add a stroke to this. And I'm just gonna make the reset the stroke to default to show you what's going on here. So you can even add a stroke within a stroke if you wanted to, like so. And you can also do a gradient. So I'm going to select gradient, increase the stroke, and I can do a shape burst. And now this looks like this tube instead of a line. So there's so many more things that you can do by using a vector rather than a pixel layer. You can obviously apply the stroke and the drop shadow to a pixel layer, but it just gives you so much more flexibility when you're applying it to a vector, because you can just easily remap the vector to whatever you're intending. So for example, maybe you decide to make the road wider, you can easily do that, and you wouldn't be able to do so with a pixel based line like the one you have here. And it just seems a lot more choppy. You see, I was just moving along and it's not looking that good. I mean, you may like that and that's fine, and that might be the look you're going for. No problem with that. So that is something that I would recommend that you do. Let me see if there's any questions.
There is no question. It was just
no
I
question.
was giggling before with Steve because he say he loves that he can grab a donuts and see a deer jumping a bridge.
Nice. Yeah, there you go. This is what you guys are talking about. And also these shapes, I'm not sure if you drew these or not. If you drew them, then great. But also I would try to do them as vectors as well. Totally up to you if you do that or not. Something that you were talking about, Kladi, let me see where in this layer stack I can find it. It looks like, are these pixel-based layers? Yeah, so it looks like you also rasterize the text. I wouldn't recommend that because if you want to, maybe you realize that there's a typo or you don't like the font or something like that, you have to start from scratch. So it's very, very difficult to
Isn't there
work with
some
text.
copy of the text or some type layer?
There are some type layers, but I'm not sure. Okay, so see, there's some type layers up here. Okay, looks like you had. Oh, okay. So I see what you did here. So okay, so we gotta talk about text. See how she was trying to place the Columbia River there, and then she just, I mean, it was smart. She cut up the word into different pieces so that it would sort of fit the river. I wouldn't do it that way, although it was ingenious the way that you got it to work there, and it looks like you also rasterized the layer here into a pixel layer. What I would do instead is create a path that follows the river. And actually I did a horrible job there, so let me start again. Let me just go into my path option here with my curvature pen tool, and I'm just going to follow a path or follow the river like so. And obviously I didn't do a perfect job, but I think you'll get the idea. Once you have your path, you can come in with the type tool and you can type on that path. So I don't even know how to spell Columbia. I guess like that, Columbia River. So you can keep typing, is, I don't know, I'm just gonna make is here. See, as you can see, you can keep typing on that path, and it just makes it so much easier to edit and adjust. And this works just like any other text layer. For example, I can open up the properties panel, and I could make them all capital. I can center the text. And by the way, what is it centering to? Well, oops, I accidentally moved that, and I didn't want to move that. Let me make sure.
By the way, I have a question, Jesus. Do you have to use just the type tool, or you need to go into type on a path? There is a specific tool, or just the...
Yeah, you can just select the type tool, and when you hover over the path, and I'll make a new path so you can see. So what I did there is you create your path, whatever it is, and when you hover over with the type tool, notice that at some point you're gonna get the icon there. It switches. It's hard to see now because there's a squiggly. I placed that thing in the worst possible area. Let me move it away to an area where there's solid color, so hopefully you can see it. All right, you know what I'll do? I'll make it super easy for everybody. I'm just gonna make a solid color fill layer, and of course it's gonna apply it to that. So here, solid color fill. We'll make it black so it's easier to see, I hope. And I'm just gonna create a new path like so. And with the type tool, when I hover over it, you should see a squiggly line on the
Oh,
icon.
okay. Yep.
And when you click, it applies the text on that path. So I would recommend doing that as opposed to cutting up the text into pieces and kind of putting it inside of that river, just because obviously it's very difficult to do and also very difficult to edit. And again, the advantage of doing this is that it's just a regular text layer. So you can actually, adjust the text just like you would any other piece of text. And what was I talking? Oh yeah, I was talking about the centering. So when you center something, like what is it center to? Well, first of all, it looks like I have a really sharp line here that I would need to fix on this point. But when you select the black arrow tool, you should be able to see. Did I not have it selected? Let me try that again. These. Oh well, this is actually I was. Never mind. I was thinking about a circle, and I'll show you what I meant in a circle. The starting point is here, where the path starts and where it ends. And to fix something like this, you would need to come in here with probably the curvature pen tool and just see what's going on here. It looks like there's just two, like a really sharp point here that you would need to adjust. And I'm trying to keep putting it together with this one. Actually, I'm going to use a different tool. I'm going to use the direct selection tool, and I'm just going to make sure that I only select that one. I'm having a lot of troubles with this today. But anyway.
Are you using a mouse? Are you using a tablet? Or what's going on?
There's no way I would be using a tablet right now. I'll have even a worse time. But anyway, you get the idea. You just adjust these points to make sure that they, that the letters don't cramp up. And if they do, here's a tip. If you have an issue, you can go in between two with the type tool selected. You can hold Alt and Windows Option in the Mac in between two characters, and then tap on the right arrow key to spread them apart, on the left arrow key to bring them closer together. So that will help you, like right here, like that would help you space out characters that are on top of each other. See that? So you can use that technique to.
So is that just the kerning between the two letters,
that
or
is,
just
that
changes?
is that is exactly it. The kerning between two letters.
Okay,
yeah.
Fantastic.
So that's the keyboard shortcut for kerning. And the other thing that I was going to talk about that I said, oh yeah, that's about the circle, is if you have a like an ellipse like this, and actually that's going to be a shape. I want to do a path because I don't want the shape. I want a path. If you have an ellipse like this, and then you do the same thing, you can come in here and type on there, type on a circle, and I align left and align center. Like what is left, what is center? Well, you can actually adjust what the left is and what the center is. When you come in here, you can see that I have these handles now. And by the way, I selected the path selection tool, but you can see these icons here that I'm controlling. You can see the center point actually is right in that little icon there. That little icon that's sticking straight up, that's the center. So I'm just going to center it to the circle here on top. So see right here, that's the center right there. And you can adjust them accordingly so that when you center it, it censors it to whatever you had in mind.
That's super cool. Marcos is saying I'm amazed with these tricks. Let us know in the chat if you ever used this trick before with typing on a path in Photoshop in order to place the text inside a graphic element. Although Madison, great job in terms of because if you don't know the tool, it's still great that you find a solution to make it happen.
Yeah. So like I said, I was really impressed with her ingenuity that she saw a problem, knew that she needed to fix it, and with her skills, she was able to put it together. So that's exactly what you need to do in Photoshop. And the advantage about knowing Photoshop or learning Photoshop more and learning what the tools do is that you start creating more elegant solutions. But the important thing is to realize that there was a problem, and she knew that there was a problem, and she solved it. And that's what Rework It's all about, to give you tips on how to solve problems faster, better, and more efficiently. Because now, everything I've shown is editable. And that's the important thing on working on a project like this. Like, you never want to merge text layers, because you may want to edit them. And I shouldn't say never, right? There's some occasions where you have to, or you might want to, but for the most part, especially on a project like this, there was no necessity on merging the type layers. So yeah.
Jesus, we got like 3 minutes. Do you have any last minute tips before we go?
Last minute tip. Not so I don't know if I can do it in 3 minutes. Usually I can do things pretty fast, but I'll just mention it. If you go into window and character styles, we'll open up the character styles panel. This is exactly what you were showing.
Oh, and by the way, before you go ahead, Ari was just saying before that it's pretty much like CSS. And I was like, yes, it is. That's a great
exactly
a great metaphor.
That's a very great analogy. The CSS, exactly. We're familiar with web development, and you're familiar with CSS. These are just properties that are applied to whatever text layer that you want. Those properties could include font, size, weight, kerning, color, whatever you want.
That's super cool. Right, so I think we got like about 2 minutes before going, and do you want to show, just like, can you show us how to create a paragraph style or a character style in Photoshop before we jump in
2 minutes? Sure.
Let's just create a paragraph style.
Okay. We still have to say bye and all of that, but I guess I could do it. So character styles, here it is. You can just, like I said, give it a color and, like a font. Let's see, we'll just use, I don't know, Are You Okay? Whatever font that is. And I can press OK. So when I have a text layer, let me make sure it's a different font. Yeah, it's a different one. Text, I can apply my character style to it by, oh my God, is it not the refine override? There you go. So you saw right now that when I click on that text layer, it didn't automatically make that change. If that happens, you have to click on this override button, which is the like little refresh button. But don't get confused, because it always confuses me with the check mark, because the check mark will override the character styles in the panel, and you don't want to do that. So that's why I had to think for a second. Wait, is it the check mark or the circle? So, but the point is that now any text layer that you create can have that effect. So if you wanted to edit that, you can of course come in here and change the color and maybe do a different font. I know that it's just one text layer here, but we could have applied that character style to hundreds of layers, and they all would update automatically.
Perhaps to all the cities that are mentioned on the map, you can have like all different.
Yeah, so you can have a character style for the cities, a character style for rivers, and a character style for roads. So everything could have its own character style, so it differentiates in the map. And also, Claudia and I have to go in a couple minutes, but we're going to be back with another rework in 1 minute. But we're going to be back with another Rework It on December 9th. So make sure that you submit your work. iamcladi.com/reworkit.
So that's last call for the end of the year. Last call for the end of the year for the last two Rework It. Hopefully for the end just for the end of the year. But we look forward to see your work. Do you want to show us how to submit, please, before we go?
Yeah, and also your mom is in the chat. Hi, Julie.
No, you gotta say hi in Italian. So come on.
Ciao, Julie. So iamcladi.com/reworkit is the URL, and you can click on, as Kladi said earlier, the blue button that's not really blue, and click on submit your design, and you can just add your information and add your file, of course. And yeah, that's all you need to do. iamcladi.com/reworkit.
Perfect. And don't forget to add your Behance profile, and also any questions you may have, any comments, anything in detail that you wish for us to look on your project. We are super happy and super thankful for you guys handing us over your file. So it's time to go. Unfortunately, it's bedtime for me. Hopefully a good time for you. It was wonderful, and we're always super thankful to be here.
You said it was a bad time for you?
Bad.
Oh, because then you said it's bedtime for me, good time for you. It sounded like you said it's a bad time for me.
No, it's just sleeping time for me.
Yeah.
And I hope it's a good day for everyone, because I know there's so many of you are still during the day, but I'm going to go to sleep pretty soon once we say goodbye.
I'm probably going to go to sleep too.
Right, fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll definitely see you on the 9th of December to submit your work.
we'll be back tomorrow though. Daily Creative Challenge. So I'm doing the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, and you're also doing the Illustrator Daily Creative
Yes,
Challenge.
of course. Adobe Live is always a bunch of amazing, fun streams all day, all week. Thank you so much, everybody. I will catch you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you.